Namo Narayana, Om 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 Namo Narayana. When you live in God and live in truth, then somehow things go right, but they don't always go easily. One thing my Guruji discovered, it was not a serious thing really, but inconvenient. But it was all based on his inner freedom. When he first came to America, being a Swami, he used to dress in orange. And he had long hair, which he allowed to flow freely. And his appearance in the streets of Boston in 1920, you can imagine Boston being a very conservative city, but conservative in its old values. It was not really ready for this. He told an amusing story one time about when he was new in America. He said, I used to walk about Boston in my orange robe with my long hair flowing out behind me. Many people thought it strange. One day, a group of factory girls followed me, giggling. One of them finally summoned up the courage to tweak my hair, and they all laughed. I turned around then and addressed them earnestly. I am a foreigner in your country, I said. Is this how you welcome strangers? How would it be if one of you were to visit my country dressed in short skirts, as I see you here? You would not be accepted, I can tell you that. Every country has its own customs. You should respect the customs of others. The girls were very ashamed and apologized to me earnestly. After a while in America, though, he realized that his message wasn't his clothes, his message was what he was saying. So he didn't want to distract people from that, and so he dressed normally by American standards, and he still kept his hair long, and he wore orange in public. But as he said, I took to dressing more, quote, normally in public. Someone offered to buy me an overcoat, and I accepted with thanks. When I saw what he wanted to buy me, however, I exclaimed, oh, that's much too good for me. He insisted on buying it, and also bought me a beautiful hat to go with it. I always felt uncomfortable, decked out in all that splendor. Divine Mother, I prayed, this coat is too good for me. Please take it away. Some time later, I entered a restaurant and left the coat hanging in the entranceway with the other coats. I placed the hat on a shelf above. As I left afterwards, I found that the coat had been stolen. What a relief. And then I saw that the hat was still sitting there. Divine Mother, I prayed, you forgot the hat. He was completely non-attached to this world. And he could have gone about in rags like Mahatma Gandhi coming to the King of England dressed in a simple loincloth. Well, this is the way that you can find what you are looking for. Look for it in yourself and be strong in yourself. Don't worry about the criticisms of others. There's a delightful story. It's in this book, God is for Everyone, and it's about people's opinions. Now, if I can find it. It is about I'm going to tell it because I can't find it. It's well told here and badly told by me, forgive me. But there was a man, a peasant, who went to market with a donkey. And he wanted to sell the donkey. He took his young boy with him, his child. And because they wanted to sell the donkey, they wanted to be in tip-top shape when they reached the market. So they walked beside the donkey. And as they were walking, a group coming the other direction saw them and began laughing. And they said, "Look at that fool. He's got a perfectly good donkey to ride, and he's walking in the dust." And he thought, well, this does look a little strange. So he jumped onto the donkey's back. And they walked a little further, and they saw another group coming the other way. And this other group said, "Look at that strong man sitting there on the donkey, and his poor little child has to trudge along in the dust beside him." Well, the man thought, this is certainly something to think about too. So he got down and he put his boy on the donkey. And they passed another group. And the other group said, "Look at that. What discipline there, or lack of discipline there must be in that family. Poor old man trudging along in the dust while his strong young boy sits on the donkey's back." And the man said, "Well, yes, I don't want people thinking there's no discipline in my household." So he got on the donkey's back also. So there the two of them were riding along, and they came to another group. And these group must have belonged to the Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. And one of them said, "Oh, what heartlessness. Look at that. Two people on the back of one poor animal, their friend. It serves them faithfully all these years, and two of them placed this heavy burden on his back." And by this time, the man was so fed up that he was on a bridge over a river. He just pushed the donkey into the river and walked home with his boy. Now, the story itself is a bit of a joke. It's a joke on you. Because did you find yourself thinking when the peasant pushed that donkey over the bridge into the water, "Oh, what cruelty"? I would rather think the donkey then swam away to new freedom. But you see, people are always telling other people how to live and what to do. You have to decide on your own values and on what you will do. My guru for a while did live as an Indian Swami in India, wearing orange all the time. But then he realized that indeed wearing orange would detract from his message. So that's when he decided to wear it only when he lectured in public or for public affairs. I found this also. I would get on a radio or television program. The first question I was there to talk about the teachings. The first question people would ask me in America is, "So what's a Swami?" Well, that wasn't my interest. I wasn't trying to make other people Swamis. I was trying to give them something that would help them. And so I decided, well, I'm not going to dress this way, just like my guru. I'm just going to dress as other people. But I did it from my own decision, and not because people said, "Oh, why do you do this? Why don't you do that?" No. You have to make your decisions deliberately, and they always have to come from inside. This is what my guru brought to the world. Lahiri Mahashaya, his Param Guru, brought Kriya Yoga, which is the technique for bringing your consciousness into the deep spine. Then his purpose and what his guru sent him to the West to do was to bring the path of Kriya Yoga, which is to say how to bring Kriya Yoga outward into your daily actions, into your work, into your family, into everything that you do. And the secret of that is to be centered always in yourself, to make your decisions not in reaction to what other people are saying, but to make them, every one of them, first be centered within and decide for yourself, is this what I choose to do? Now, this doesn't mean being a rebel. If other people say you should do something and you do it, don't let it be because they said that you should do it. Do it because you think what they said is a good idea. Now that's important too, because people who decide that they want to live in themselves and be true to themselves often become rebels in a sense that, well, whatever other people do, they reject it. Why? weigh what they said. You know, I've noticed in building Ananda, the village, the communities that I have built in America, in Italy, I hope to build also here. What I've noticed is that I will let people give me their ideas and I will listen. And if their ideas are better than my ideas, I accept them. What have I got to prove in just saying my way is right? Even I will do this. I may offer a suggestion to people, and they may come with a counter-suggestion. Now, sometimes indeed that suggestion is better than mine. Fine, I'm happy. I just want the right thing to be done. I don't want it to be my name. Sometimes, however, what they say is not such a good idea. Still, I'll go along with it if it is not going to prove disastrous to what's happening, because sometimes people make stupid suggestions, but sometimes if you let them do it, they themselves will learn that this wasn't the way to do it, and then they will learn to have better decisions next time and to do better next time. But if you don't let people make mistakes, how are they ever going to learn? I think it's a very important thing in leadership not to be a leader, but to try to magnetize people together so that all of you are trying to accomplish something. One of the basic qualities in leadership is respect for the other person. Listen and let him do his will if he can, because that develops his sense of responsibility. But finally, you will see that what is true will win out. And so don't try to impose your will just because it's your will. Don't have a will of your own. Let it be God's will. I have said several times on these shows that in our communities, I cannot remember a meeting that we have had in 36 years that has ended in disharmony. Because what we do, and I suppose I have set that example, but it's still not my example, it's the truth. What we try to do is God's will. And what we believe is that what is right will happen, so why stand in the way of it? When you try to do the right thing, when you try to do God's will, you see that somehow everything flows in the best way. But the other thing is that when people see that you are being that way, they themselves become that way. When you see that people are, when people see that you are completely truthful, they will be truthful. When they see that you are completely fair to them, they will be fair. And part of being fair is to listen to all sides and then try to understand what is trying to happen. Try to understand what is the best thing for everybody. I've never used, I know you already have heard that I'm a direct disciple of this great master. I lived with him for 3.5 years. Certainly I ought to know his will better than other people. It's a perfect trump card. I've never used it. I never say, I know his will, I lived with him, you didn't. Who are you to say? No, I never do that. I always feel if sweet reason cannot win, then I don't want to win. So I let them have an equal right with me as to the authority. I try to make reason itself the deciding factor. Now, you may not always find that easy to do, especially if you have reason to know that this is right. But if you hold that, they will respect you. And finally, you'll develop a team of people who will work together and won't be sitting there just listening to see what new dictate you give them. Don't try. I know I got a letter years and years ago from Satya Sai Baba. It was in his own handwriting. And he was talking about how it's easy to drive people, but difficult to lead them. This is what I've always learned, that to lead people, you have to lead them, but they have to walk voluntarily. You don't force them into anything. In this way, these communities can become a wonderful example. Go with what is appropriate at the time. This is what my Guruji did in finally taking on Western dress. But he showed still that attitude of the sannyasi, this very expensive coat. He begged Divine Mother to take it away from him. Don't seek expensive things. Let Divine Mother give you what she wants. Be free in your heart. You don't own anything. You don't own anybody. Nobody owns you. You come free in this world. Into this world, you will leave it a free soul. Remember that truth can never die. Truth alone endures in the end. Live by that truth and be free in yourself. Joy to you.
Some men call it progress, down with those who doubt. To join the causes others join and shout when others shout. Come, you're a man, no passive stone. Stand up and call your soul your own. Go on alone, go on alone. Banish weakness, go on alone. Go on alone, go on alone. Don't look back, just go on alone. Some men lack the daring ever to be free. They shun the heights and cloud the depths and court security. Come, you're a man, no passive stone. Stand up and call your soul your own. Go on alone, go on alone. Banish weakness, go on alone. Go on alone, go on alone. Don't look back, just go on alone. Cowards see but pride in singularity. Oh, never mind if men are wrong, so long as they agree. Come, you're a man, no passive stone. Stand up and call your soul your own. Go on alone, go on alone. Banish weakness, go on alone. Go on alone, go on alone. Don't look back, just go on alone. Claim the power within you, error to defy. The world may change or disappear, but truth can never die. Come, you're a man, no passive stone. Stand up and call your soul your own. Go on alone, go on alone. Banish weakness, go on alone. Go on alone, go on alone. Don't look back, just go on alone.